The king of the beasts. Lions have cemented themselves as some of the most highly revered animals alive today. With their tremendous power, striking manes, and their complex social nature that makes them stand out even more from their other relatives, lions hold a special place in the tapestry of the animal world. And across their 2 million years of existence, they've dominated the landscapes of Afro-Eurasia, becoming well ingrained into various cultures. While today, lions are only known from Africa and a small region of India, during the Pleistocene epoch, a close relative occupied the ever-expansive mammoth steppe of Eurasia. These were the cave lions. Well documented in an array of cave paintings, these massive carnivores dominated the northern hemisphere and eventually crossed over a now long gone land bridge in the high Arctic known as Beringia. From here, their descendants would spread into the North American continent, giving rise to one of the largest cats of all time. Nearly twice as large as a modern-day lion, and competing with legendary cats like the famous Smilodon, this apex predator was the ruler of North America for nearly 120,000 years. This was the American lion, a new world king. The first fossil of the American lion, consisting of a fragmentary lower jaw, was excavated from the ravines in Natchez, Mississippi during the 1830s. However, it wasn't given a proper name until 1853 when American paleontologist Joseph Leidy gave it the scientific name Physiology. In 1873, Leidy then described another felid following the discovery of a mandible in Livermore Valley, California, giving it the name Felis imperialis. However, F. imperialis was then considered a junior synonym to F. atrox. In 1803, several large felid fossils were excavated by gold miners in Kotzebue, Alaska, and in 1907 were described as a subspecies of the American lion, being given the name F. atrox alaskensis. The subspecies was, however, not properly described and is now considered a nomen nudum and as synonymous with F. atrox. However, based on locality, they're likely to belong to Eurasian cave lions. In 1909, a new subspecies was described by American paleontologist John C. Merriam following the discovery of a large cat skull in the La Brea tar pits, giving it the name F. atrox bebi. This subspecies would also end up being synonymous with the American lion. For the remainder of the 1900s, more American lion remains would be uncovered from the tar pits and properly grouped with F. atrox in 1932. In 1941, George Gaylord Simpson had moved F. atrox into the genus Panthera due to believing that it was a subspecies of jaguar, along with also describing several fossils excavated along the western US and Chiapas, Mexico as belonging to the same animal. In 2009, more American lion fossils were uncovered in the Natural Trap Cave in Wyoming, with it being considered the second most productive fossil site containing P. atrox remains, along with also having incredibly well preserved traces of mitochondrial DNA in the skeletons. The connection between the American lion and the jaguar didn't end with Simpson's reclassification, as there have been extensive debates of the cat's presence in South America. In the 1890s, post-cranial fossils of a large felid were uncovered in Cueva del Miladon, Chile, and were classified as Lemisch listi in 1899 by Swiss-Argentine paleontologist Santiago Roth. The name was considered a nomen nudum as well, with Roth changing the genus name to Felis later on. In 1934, the species was fully renamed and reclassified into Felis onca mesobrina, better known as the Patagonian panther, by Spanish zoologist Ángel Cabrera. Following this classification, more large felids were classed as F. onca mesobrina based on fecal and mandible findings from other parts of Chile and the Tierra del Fuego archipelago in Argentina. In 2016, a new study moved it into the Panthera genus, recognizing it as a paleo subspecies of jaguar. However, the following year, a study was published suggesting that the Patagonian panther is synonymous with the American lion due to several similarities in morphology. However, not many scientists agree with this hypothesis, opting to instead group the American lion and the Patagonian panther separately, leaving the former's presence in South America a mystery. Following all these findings and classifications, more fossils of P. atrox were being uncovered over the years, providing us more insight into their distribution. In 2019, fossils of the American lion were uncovered in Belize's Extinction Cave. The most recent discovery, however, was in 2022 following a drought in the Mississippi River. Near the town of Rosedale, paleontologist Wiley Prewitt uncovered the lower jaw remains of an American lion, which could help give us a better understanding of the cat's distribution in the eastern United States. With all of these continuous discoveries, the American lion continues to leave an impact in the paleontological field as one of North America's many Pleistocene icons. While morphologically similar to other big cats, the American lion had its own fair share of unique traits that distinguished it from other species. To start out, its limb bones are said to be more robust than those of African lions, on par with those with a modern-day brown bear, and far longer than the aforementioned felids. Skin samples of a pantherine felid excavated from Patagonia reveal a reddish coloring, with some scientists attributing them to P. atrox. This is, however, contested by others, as the possibility of American lions inhabiting South America and their synonymous relation to the Patagonian panther are still subjects for debate. By comparing it to cave paintings and remains of the Eurasian cave lions, several scientists believe that P. atrox possesses a yellowish coat and lacks the modern lion's signature manes, much like their Old World counterparts. The American lion is often considered to be one of the largest, if not potentially the largest cat to have ever lived. It was estimated to have measured around 3 to 4 feet tall at the shoulder and 5 to 8 feet long from head to tail. The weight estimates varied from one study to another. In 2008, the species was estimated to have weighed around 420 kilograms or 930 pounds. The following year, another study reduced the average size estimate at about 256 kilograms or 564 pounds. Closer in line to modern-day big cats, with the largest specimen possibly weighing at about 351 kilograms or 774 pounds. In 2012, the American lion's average weight was re-estimated, this time taking sexual dimorphism into account, with the females weighing at about 175 to 365 kilograms or 385 to 805 pounds, and the males weighing in at a staggering 235 to 523 kilograms or 518 to 1,153 pounds. Comparing it to the largest modern-day cats, this species dwarfs modern-day lions, whose males typically weigh on average about 150 to 225 kilograms or 331 to 496 pounds. The largest naturally occurring modern-day cat, the continental or mainland Asian tiger, is also dwarfed, with the largest males of that subspecies having weighed at about 200 to 260 kilograms or 440 to 570 pounds. However, it's possible for these two felids to crossbreed. When a male lion breeds with a tigress or female tiger, they can produce a hybrid animal known as a liger, which is larger than both parent species combined and the largest cat alive today. This animal is generally on par with the American lion in terms of mass, with the largest non-obese specimen reaching 408 kilograms or 900 pounds. However, some liger specimens have been recorded reaching weights of 544 to 725 kilograms or 1,200 to 1,600 pounds, which would make the liger larger than the American lion. When compared to Eurasian cave lions, while P. spelaea was still a relatively massive cat, its size began to decrease over the course of the Pleistocene until it became intermediate with those of modern-day lions and tigers. Early on, they could have reached a mass up to 400 kilograms or 880 pounds. The earlier cave lion species, P. fossilis, reached sizes comparable to the American lion, with the largest specimen from Ukraine's Sambir cave being estimated to weigh up to 500 kilograms or 1,100 pounds. However, it's speculated that the species could have also reached 912 kilograms or 2,011 pounds, making P. fossilis potentially the largest cat to have ever lived. Another large cat from the Pleistocene that competed with the American lion in size was the South American Smilodon populator, with an estimated weight of 220 to 435 kilograms or 490 to 960 pounds on average, with another estimate suggesting that it could have reached 470 kilograms or 1,040 pounds, making it relatively intermediate with both cave lions. Though as far as physiology is concerned, the American lion is built more similar to other large cats, while the Smilodon was closer in build to a bear or hyena. While it shared some competition in the size range, the American lion still went down in prehistory as one of North America's largest predators, humbling even the modern-day king of the beasts, the African lion. The American lion belongs to a genus of felids known as Panthera, also known as panthers or big cats. Together with the clouded leopard and its relatives in Neophelus, along with several extinct genera such as Pachypanthera and Leontosauryx, they make up the subfamily Pantherinae. Today, the Panthera genus consists of modern-day lions along with tigers, leopards, snow leopards, and jaguars. However, there were other species in the genus throughout prehistory, including the Eurasian jaguar, P. paleosinensis, P. youngi, and more. The evolution of big cats is a confusing one. Some paleontologists consider the Himalayan Panthera blythea as the ancestral species, indicating a late Miocene to early Pliocene origin. However, some scientists have argued against this, grouping Panthera blythea into the genus Paleopanthera and considering it closer to clouded leopards than to big cats. This could indicate that the origin of big cats might start in late Pliocene East Africa with the species Panthera principialis. Much like with modern-day lions, cave lions likely also originated from Africa and eventually spread into Europe and Asia during the Middle Pleistocene, starting with P. fossilis or the mossback lion, which was then succeeded by Panthera spelaea, better known as the Eurasian or Beringian cave lion. However, recent studies have suggested that these two might be subspecies of the same animal. Like its old world counterparts, the American lion is a taxonomic enigma. While most scientists consider all three cave lions as separate species, others consider them to be subspecies of the modern-day lion, choosing to instead refer to the species as Panthera leo atrox. One particular study in 1996 argued that cave lions might instead be a paleo-subspecies of tiger due to a similar skull shape, particularly in their brain case. This hypothesis was quickly rejected, however, and to this day, the general consensus seems to be that all three cave lions are distinct enough from the modern lion to qualify as their own species, but share a close genetic link with the aforementioned big cat. The evolution of the American lion has seen several varying hypotheses. In 2008, a study argued that it shared an ancestry with the jaguar as the two arose from a pantherine lineage around the Middle Pleistocene. This is contradicted, however, by recent findings, especially of a Eurasian jaguar subspecies in China back in 2021, which may help indicate that the modern jaguar evolved from P. gombazigensis and therefore separately from the American lion. A study published in 2011 covering the dispersal of lions and similar felids also argued that the American lion shared a separate evolutionary history from the Eurasian cave lions, proposing yet again that a separate pantherine lineage crossed into Beringia, giving rise to P. atrox during the late Middle Pleistocene or the early late Pleistocene epoch. Recently, however, the American lion is believed to have descended from the Eurasian cave lion after a population of the latter crossed into Alaska and northern Canada. At first, scientists speculated that the American lion diverged from the Eurasian cave lion around 340,000 years ago. However, a study from 2022 argues that the divergence occurred significantly later, around 165,000 years ago, which is closer to the time range in which cave lions first appeared in eastern Beringia, that being from approximately 190 to 130,000 years ago. This would therefore make the American lion the youngest and most recent cave lion species in the fossil record. One study suggests that during interglacial cycles in which the land bridge would flood, the Eurasian cave lion situated in North America couldn't travel back to Asia and thus headed farther south, giving rise to P. atrox. This dispersal pattern was brought on due to an altering of the vegetation caused by the shifting cycles, which then impacted the population of herbivores in the region and limited the amount of prey available for the cave lions. Were it not for this unintended dispersal, the southern regions of North America may have never been populated by these large cats, even if for a shorter period of time compared to the American lion's forebears. While its Eurasian relatives conquered the north, Panthera atrox occupied the south. Its range extended from much of southern Canada to the United States, Mexico, and Central America, with a questionable distribution in South America. North America during this time would have been not so different from the modern day, being comprised of open plain habitats, forested areas, deserts, and mountainous terrain with weather and temperature changes ranging from warm weathers to cold snowy winters and monsoon seasons. North America during this time, as many other parts of the world, experienced shifts between glacial and interglacial cycles, which consist of occasional movements from glaciers where they end up coating most of the landscape in ice, and then retreating back following rises in temperature. Much like the modern-day lions, the American lion would have likely occupied open plains habitats, with recent evidence also suggesting that they inhabited forested biomes. As apex predators, American lions would have hunted a large variety of prey and would have likely indulged in kleptoparasitism on animals such as Myrcinonyx, a taxonomic oddity better known as the American cheetah. Kleptoparasitism is an act of one predator stealing the kill from another, which is observed in several modern-day predators, including even modern-day lions. The species' social nature has long been a subject for debate. While isotopic analysis and several fossil findings help indicate the possibility of Eurasian cave lions being predominantly solitary, it doesn't seem to be as set in stone for the American lion. Several scientists have argued for American lions living in social groups, with sexual dimorphism being taken into account, though this has been contested. The tar pit remains have also been used as evidence for this discussion, as scientists have acknowledged a higher concentration of males at what would be their dispersal age compared to females, which could indicate that the lionesses remain in their species equivalent of a pride. A study from 2009 argued that American lions were solitary due to not being part of the lion lineage, while another study argued that they would have been either solitary or potentially social animals that thrived on lower densities in a similar vein to African wild dogs. This conclusion was reached due to the generally low number of American lion remains in the tar pits compared to other predators that existed at the time, along with a higher ratio of juvenile remains compared to those of adults. In terms of prey, American lions would have hunted a variety of ungulates, both modern and prehistoric. These would have ranged from pronghorn antelopes and their many extinct relatives in the family Antilocapridae to bovines such as the American plains bison, ancient bison, and longhorn bison. Deer species such as the Roosevelt elk, moose, and its extinct relative the stag moose may have also fallen prey to atrox, along with odd-toed ungulates such as ancient horses and various North American tapir species. Proboscideans such as the Columbian mammoth, woolly mammoth, American mastodon, and the Pacific mastodon were all found within the lion's general range, but may have been too large for the cat to take down, instead opting for their juveniles or scavenging off adult remains. Other large herbivores that would have been abundant during this time were genera in the family Camelidae. These include the North American camel, Camelops, and several prehistoric llama relatives such as Hemiakinia and Paleolama. Several rodents and lagomorphs ranging from rabbits and hares to ground squirrels, North American beavers, mountain beavers, porcupines, prehistoric capybara relatives, and the giant beaver Castoroides also occupied much of the same locales as the American lion and may have fallen prey to it. Xenarthran animals such as the giant anteater and various ground sloths such as Megalonyx and the Shasta ground sloth were present in North America and may have made up the cat's diet. When it came down to other carnivores that occupy the same range, the smaller ones would have hardly posed a threat. These would have included coyotes, red wolves, foxes, bobcats, raccoons, coatis, skunks, badgers, wolverines, and otters. The larger modern-day predators in the region would have consisted of cougars, gray wolves, American black bears, grizzly bears, and the fellow pantherine felid, the jaguar. The prehistoric carnivores within the cat's locality would have consisted of the two large saber-tooths, Homotherium and Smilodon fatalis, along with the direwolf and two Tremarctine bears, Arctodus simus, better known as the short-faced bear, and Tremarctos floridianus, or the Florida spectacled bear. In the coasts of North America, the American lion would have encountered pinnipeds such as the California sea lion and northern elephant seal. Whether the big cat attempted hunting them is unclear, but possible, as seal hunting is a known phenomenon among modern species, such as Namibia's African lions and the one Siberian tiger that was documented hunting harbor seals. Birds such as the California condor, caracaras, peregrine falcons, golden and bald eagles, and the massive Pterotaurus were also present in the American lion's range, with some possibly even scavenging from the big cat's prey. Reptiles such as the American alligator, American crocodile, and the extinct Hale alligator were also already present during this time, with the continent's vast array of lizards, snakes, turtles and tortoises, and not to mention the various amphibians and fish that still thrive to this very day. North America during the time of the American lion was perhaps at its most expansive in terms of biodiversity, housing quite the menagerie of animals from both past and present. Unlike its Eurasian counterpart, the American lion has appeared in a significant number of documentaries. It first appeared in the 2001 documentary, Mastodon in Your Backyard. Afterwards, it was then showcased in the 2002 series, Wild New World, in the episodes Land of the Mammoth, Ice Age Oasis, and American Serengeti. In the following year, it appeared in the 2003 series, Monsters We Met, in episode 1, Eternal Frontier, and once again in the 2003 to 2004 BBC series, Ice Age Death Trap. In all of these aforementioned documentaries, Panthera atrox was consistently portrayed by modern-day lions. In 2004, American lion had its first CGI appearance in the documentary film LA 10,000 BC, in which it shared the same CGI model as the lions from Animal Face-Off, the latter which aired in the same year. Panthera atrox made brief cameos in the 2007 documentary series Prehistoric Predators, where it unfortunately didn't acquire its own dedicated episode. In 2008, the American lion was then featured in the documentary series Jurassic Fight Club, specifically in the episode Ice Age Monsters, where it was instead called the Mega Lion. In the episode, it is depicted fighting a short-faced bear over a bison carcass before being tossed off of a cliff and falling to its death in a Wyoming trap cave upon gaining the upper hand. In 2012, it was featured in the documentary, also called Ice Age Death Trap. The American lion would then appear again in the 2015 documentary Mexico in the Ice Age with its own CGI model. Its latest documentary appearances would both come in 2018 with Age of Big Cats and lastly, Icebridge: The Impossible Journey. In 2024, the American lion made its two latest appearances in video games, where the first one showcasing it in Update 10 of the 2022 video game Prehistoric Kingdom, where it's featured as a Panthera skin alongside its Eurasian counterpart as of February 26th. After this, Panthera atrox was added into the 2021 mobile app Dinosaur Park Primeval Zoo on October 22nd, where it could be added into the grassland biome. Overall, the American lion has made a frequent number of appearances since its discovery, and hopefully in time this amazing animal will be showcased in media more often and commonly get its own unique model as opposed to simply using a modern day African lion. Around 13,000 to 12,000 years ago, the American lion went extinct alongside much of the other Pleistocene megafauna in North America. Like with many other animals during its time, it was likely a mixture of climate change and human settlement on the New World continents. A 2017 paper argued that the American lion's habitat began to shrink down in size during the ongoing climatic shifts, making it more susceptible to dying out. The most direct way in which humans impacted the American lion was due to mass hunting of large herbivores that were the primary food source for the big cat. While early humans were able to adjust due to their omnivorous diet, which prevented direct competition with the predatory animals, the American lion could not adapt the same way and suffered the same fate as its prey. As the following Holocene epoch persisted, most of the modern day animals that existed during Panthera atrox's time continue to thrive today, though tragically, some are depleting in numbers. Today, the last remaining pantherine cat in North America is the jaguar, which still largely persists in Mexico and Central America with the exception of El Salvador, and has recently begun to gradually reclaim the southwestern United States. The American lion has also been a subject regarding discussions of Pleistocene rewilding, as back in 2005, American ecologist Josh Donlin proposed introducing modern lions to the United States to act as replacements for the former. Theoretically, these introduced lions could help keep the populations of large herbivores, such as bison and feral horses, in check, along with camels should they ever be introduced to the country. These lions could also get the added benefit of being relocated to the region where they could get more, possibly even better protection, along with their presence having an economic benefit via tourism. However, with several unanswered questions regarding this ancient field, especially in regards to their social nature, it's difficult to properly conclude how successful this introduction project would be. Cloning could be an option much like with the Eurasian cave lion, but unlike the latter, there might not be enough viable remains to be used for a cloning project. In any case, whether or not we were able to bring back this extinct felid, the American lion will always remain as one of the largest mammalian predators to ever call North America its home. While its Eurasian relatives still ruled over the northernmost mammoth steppe throughout Eurasia and North America's high Arctic, Panthera atrox would reign supreme over the southernmost regions, from as high north as southern Canada and as far south as Central America. And although this massive feline only reigned for 100,000 years, it has well earned its name as the American lion, a New World king. Thank you for watching our latest video in the Caino-Pleistocene North America, the American lion. We hope you've enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you in our next video. This video was narrated by myself, CrimsonAcro, it was directed by myself along with RangoGamer, and the video was scripted by myself, the Primal Earth, and RangoGamer. Editing was done by myself along with RangoGamer, MikeMC9797, the Primal Earth, LegitEliminator, and Straight Up Murph. The graphic designers for this video were straight up Murph for the concept art, TheDinosaurHunter for the thumbnail, and Mephilas Seijin101 for the animation and model. And lastly, the research team was myself and RangoGamer. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our future content. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll be seeing you all next time on Epoch Now.